Hello again from my front porch. I was in Houston, Texas at the start of this particular week. It was real quick, little one day there and back kind of thing. Just had a one-day meeting. I'm part of a work group with an entity, an organization called the Construction Industry Institute. And what this organization does, it's a academic organization tied with some universities, but they support the construction industry, and they explore and research certain topics, different things, and they put together these work groups around these things. And the one that I'm is my second work group that I've actually been on with these folks. And the first work group that I was on dealt more with workforce planning and progression of workforce. This work group that I'm on is more about addressing the needs of the skilled workforce and trying to be proactive with some of that. And so to me, it's interesting stuff. I don't know about you, what you might think, but to me, it's very interesting stuff, and I'm enjoying being part of it. And in fact, yesterday, when we were doing the meeting there, I got to be the subject of attention as they were gathering data for a case study on what we're doing at Baker regarding the crew chief program that I had designed and built for Baker. And because the way that we're approaching what we're doing was commendable, was something that they wanted to spotlight in the research that we're doing and have it included as one of the I think we're doing a total of 10 case studies of different aspects from different companies, different things. But when they heard about what we were doing at Baker, they were like, yeah, let's yeah. So I felt good about that. That was cool. But I'm not talking about this because, hey, I got this slap Paul on the back. No, that's not. What was interesting was that we spent a considerable amount of time talking about how to better prepare the skilled workforce, not just for today, but for tomorrow. And that was good. That's on point. That's why we're there. However, a really insightful observation was made by one of our group members, because everybody's from different companies that are all there. And a really insightful observation was made from one of the participants from another construction company named Kiewit. And the observation that was made was, we're spending all this time talking about how do we better train these people once they're in the door, or as we started calling about it, the workforce pool. Because it's not even a matter of if they're in the door at Baker or they're in the door at Kiewit or in the door wherever, but more like the construction manufacturing industry's pool of potential workers, because we're all trying to draw from the same group of people. And so we're focusing all this discussion on how do we train them and better prepare them once they're in the pool, but we weren't really addressing how to even get them in the pool in the first place. How to get them queued up to want to be in that profession at all. And in that came the reality check of, and this is not new. I've seen this go around on social media a few times as well, especially with the plight of student loan things and how that's just the massive oppressive debt on a lot of people, especially those who took out student loans that were for degrees that don't really do them any good, don't really get them anywhere. Or there also are the cases where there are individuals who took out student loans for this amount, and because of shady, I'll call it lending practices, or the practices of lenders who buy and sell debt to boost their books. They buy it, boost their books, and then they turn around and sell it off to somebody else. And each time that does, it compounds the interest. And so you have somebody who borrowed this amount of money over here for what they were studying. And now, after it changes all these hands, suddenly they're told they owe this big, huge amount of money. And that does not reflect what they were signing up for back here. But legally, well, that's what was in the rule. It's a whole different tangent I could go off on. Anyway, that because of all that kind of stuff too, there's been this increased emphasis on, well, if you just went into a trade, that you didn't need a college degree for. You could be making six figures easily that way, and you not be in debt with the student loan stuff. It's literally the gospel truth. It is absolutely true. Unfortunately, that is not the route that I took. But man, with what I know about the construction industry now and how these things work, there are times I kind of wish I might have gone that route instead. I think, yes, it would have changed the trajectory of my life, but financially, I'm sure I'd be in a much sweeter position right now. Anyway, the point was made that we weren't talking much about getting people in the pool. How do we convince? Because see, there used to be a time where that wasn't a concern, where it seemed like the bodies were coming easily. You could have somebody working on a construction job site that, I just don't like the way that guy does his stuff. I don't like the way that they do this. I don't like the way they just fire them. There's 3 more waiting to get jobs, and so we can replace them like that. Well, that's not reality anymore. It just is not. The labor force that is willing to do the type of work that's in construction has gone from this to this. And the only way that industry is surviving is because it has been expanded like this with workers who were not born here in the United States. Now, that's not a problem. I don't have any problem with that, but it is a reality check. And you'll sometimes see those ignorant people who will say something like, those Mexicans or those foreigners coming in and taking all our jobs. I can tell you from my own observation, that is not happening, at least not in construction. What's happening in construction is there aren't anywhere near enough individuals born here in the United States who are willing to sign up to do the work. But there is an ocean of all these immigrants who are willing to do this work. And they do it very well, in fact. And so we've seen that expand that way. But the conversation that we were having, while it's great to have immigrant workforce that comes in and takes on these roles that are not currently being taken on, there is still this awareness that we could be and should be doing more to try to encourage people right here to get involved in what we're doing. And so that then shifted the whole group conversation for quite a while as we talked through some of that. And one of the fascinating things that came out of that was a gentleman who is a former military guy. He's retired from, well, he's not completely retired. He was a Marine. He retired from the Marines, but then he turned around and joined the Army National Guard, and he continues to be part of that, and is signed up, I think, for his tour. His final tour of duty is scheduled to be in 2030, I think he said. But he's been at it for a long time now. But because he's National Guard, that of course means he's the weekend warrior, as they call it, meaning he has full-time job, and then once in a while he gets called off to go do stuff. So his role at his construction company, one of his roles, his main big hat that he wears, is he's a recruiter for people from the military. That he goes to these military hiring events and he tries to recruit individuals to come and sign up with his company. And when he does that, he's able to talk to them because he's former military himself, or technically still current military. But he's able to talk to them at their level. He's able to really feel out who they really are and stuff. And they've been able to score a lot of really strong candidates from that pool. But he said he rarely ever sees other peer construction companies at these events. But he cited the stat, and I haven't researched it, I'm just taking his word for it. He cited the stat that every year, 220,000 200,000 individuals leave the military, the various branches, but 220,000. I'm seeing the number in my head and I'm just not coming out my mouth right. But 220,000 a year leave the military. Now, not all of them are looking for jobs. Many of them already have jobs. They know what they're going to do. But the point being, there's this huge group of individuals who have already demonstrated their commitment to doing a good job, who have been trained to work hard, to be part of the team, all of the wonderful attributes of being part of a military-minded group of people that would be perfect for the type of work we do. And hardly anybody is actively recruiting them. That blew my mind. I was like, wow, that really? I have passed that information on to my leader, who, from her capacity, she oversees my area, which is training and HR and recruiting, and so all of that's under her umbrella. And so I pass this information on to her, and she's going to make sure that makes it into the hands of the recruiters for our company, because we need to be thinking about that kind of stuff. But that was one direction, the one detail that came out of that I was shocked with. But still, it was that broader concept of why do we? Because it didn't used to be this way. Like I said, there used to be this big pool of people, former military people. It used to be, the joke is farm boys, people from the Midwest that were known for working in the field, and they're strong and willing to dig in, a great work ethic, and that. And then you also had just individuals that wanted to strike out right away and not just start making money, to start building their life, to do that kind of stuff, that they were focused on. I want to be skilled. I want to be known for how good I do this thing. What we have seen, though, is a radical shift in the younger populations. And it's with each grouping, generation, whatever you want to call it, it gets worse. And one of the people at the meeting blamed the No Child Left Behind legislation. Now, I want to be clear. I don't have a problem with it per se. Any legislation can run afoul and can cause issues. And so certainly it's a piece of legislation. I don't question that it could have caused trouble. But the reason they cited it was because they said the No Child Left Behind legislation was the first real focus point where we tried to shift the attention of young people and parents to, if you want to succeed, you need to go to college. And where it came from was the emphasis on college pre-prep things and getting your grades up so that you can qualify for college, and the STEM programs that spun off from that, which again are totally legit. I don't have a problem with those programs, but that all of this emphasis on queuing up young people in high school to start looking that direction then began this process that we now are unfortunately immersed in, where you want to be successful, you want to make a lot of money, you got to have a piece of paper from a university that says you can make a lot of money. Well, that's actually not the way it is in reality for a lot of people now. Like I was saying before, for a lot of people, that little piece of paper actually means you owe a lot of money, and you may not be making a lot to pay it off. You're underwater in it financially, sometimes seriously underwater. And so, with that being the case, we now in our industry are challenged because society, government, educational institutions, now parents, whatever, this perception there that if you get the piece of paper from the university, that means you're up here. But if you're swinging a hammer at a construction job site, you're somewhere way down there. And that's not the case at all. In fact, some of the smartest people that I know at this point in my life are people who either are actively swinging hammers on job sites or used to swing hammers on job sites and have promoted up into the organization. But these people are smart. They know their stuff. They're on top of it. and they just impress me like nobody else's business. There is no magic solution to this. The issue is what the issue is. It's that, we've got all of this going on where we're not currently queuing up these young people to be successful in what we're trying to do. And so we talked a little bit about that. Now we kind of, someone else in the group sort of knocked the legs out from under this. We started brainstorming, we started going down this path, and somebody said, "Well, time out. That's not really what the point of this work group is. It's a relevant topic. It's a big topic, but this is scope creep. we're going beyond the scope of what our work group is here for. And so we need to get back to talking about what we have been charged with putting together." And that was an accurate thing. It was a relevant thing. And so we're like, "Oh yeah, you're right." But we copied the notes. We saved the notes. We wrote, and we definitely recommended, we're going to recommend, or the group is going to recommend to CII, that this is an area that needs a lot. If we want to do work groups, we want to do research, this is where we need to be doing our research, because this is step one before they even get to the stuff that the work group I'm on is even talking about. Very, very relevant, very important. And so I just had to share this for a couple reasons. One, because it just happened and I thought it was intriguing. If we're sitting here on the front porch, this is recent stuff. This is the stuff I'm going to talk to you about. But also because it really ties to my passion that, the purpose of training, the purpose of learning is so that you can do something. It's not just so you have it here. It's not just so you sit in a room. It's not just so your name is on a piece of paper you hang on your wall. It's that you can do something, that there's a tangible result. There's a behavioral change, a skill enhancement, something that improves your lot in life because of what you learned. That should be the purpose of any kind of training. And if that's not what the result of the training is, then I even question whether it was actually training at all. But so with that being the case, this whole broader discussion really tied heavily to that. But I just want to put my little cherry on here on the Sunday of what we're talking about. If you know a young person that is wanting to make a lot of money, college is a great thing. I have a college degree. College is a great thing, and you can learn a lot, and you can get a degree, and it can help you, but not everyone needs to go to college. Not every job, not every profession requires that little piece of paper. Work with your young person to have them really think through, to talk through what is it they really want to do. Yeah, everybody wants to make a lot of money, but what do they want to do? What fuels their passion? It could be that takes them down the college path, but it also could be that other avenues are open, like the construction industry, where they have a whole wide variety. It's not just hammer swinging. There's a massive variety of jobs and skill sets that you can take on in construction and never have to go to a college class at all. Oh, we do training and you can go to some, but the point is you don't need a degree in anything to step into those construction roles and begin that process. And so I want to just leave that with you, if I may. If you have a young person, if you know of a young person, if you know somebody who is actually just looking to change careers, and they already have been doing something, whether construction related or not, and they're like, you know what, I just need to clear I need to do something. Maybe they need to shift into construction. Maybe that would be the kind of thing that cleanses their palate and puts them back on a good footing, both in terms of themselves mentally, but also financially. It can really help them. So just consider that, please. Don't dismiss construction. It is more than just, well, if you couldn't get a job anywhere else, that's where no. And I'll tell you, some of the if you know someone who's big in technology, AI, all of that stuff is blowing the walls off of how we do construction now. It's so exciting. This is the time for you to get involved with construction if that kind of stuff really fires you up. And If you want some pointers on where you can start with that process, of course, I happen to know a construction company that would love to talk with you. Okay, well, that's it. Before I go off into a commercial for Baker, which I could, and because my fingers are getting a little bit chilly out here, it is cool here in Iowa right now. It's getting to be that time. I'm going to let y'all go, and I'll see you next time from my front porch.